A Fox News alert for you. North Korea launching an intercontinental ballistic missile that has the power to reach the U.S. mainland. President Trump promising to, quote, take care of it. So how should we respond? Here now to weigh in is Asia analyst and the author of Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World, Gordon Chang. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather. So
let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. This ICBM test, it flew 2,800 miles into space, 2,800 miles up, the highest it's ever gone. It flew for 53 minutes, and then it landed off the Japanese coast about 600 miles away. And then we hear that this could reach any city here in the U.S. Were you surprised by what happened yesterday?
You know, I was surprised that they launched at this time. I thought that they were deep into preparations for the military's winter training cycle. So I thought that we would not see a missile launch until February. But, you know, in terms of the improvements in range, we shouldn't be surprised. We know that they're making constant improvements, whether they test or not. And so the United States has an obligation right now to do its best to make sure that North Korea doesn't have the money for missile launches or detonation of nukes. Yeah. And we can do that.
And that is the key, you say, to keep the money away. And how do we do that?
Well, President Trump has his September 21 executive order, which tells the world, you do business with North Korea, you don't do business with the United States. So we need to enforce that. And that isn't not only about countries that sell things or buy things from North Korea, it's also countries that handle the money for North Koreans. And that basically is China. So we need to start imposing costs on North Korea's backers, because we can strangle North Korea and we don't have to use force to do it. So there's so many non-forceful options. We heard Senator Lindsey Graham yesterday with all this war talk, and that introduces a lot of fatalism into the global conversation. We need to start talking about sanctions instead. Right,
but Gordon, at the same time, you know, people hear you saying this, and obviously this is what people want. They don't want a war. They want this negotiations, a diplomatic solution to be able to work. But we've heard about these sanctions before, and clearly North Korea is getting further and further ahead in terms of their nuclear capabilities. We heard South Korea saying that they could reach those within a year.
Well, yeah, and I think that the North Koreans will have a proven capability within let's say a 9-month time frame, maybe even less than that. But we also are hearing that the sanctions are working. So, for instance, junior officials in Pyongyang, who are part of the regime's favored class, are not getting their rations from the special distribution channel. We are hearing that the regime is rounding up children, putting them in labor camps so they can turn out products, and the acceleration of what are informal taxes indicating cash flow problems. And then Secretary Tillerson also talked about fuel shortages. So there's a lot of anecdotal evidence suggesting the regime is hurting. And the pressure campaign is actually starting to work. But I also think that President Trump needs to ramp it up.
All right. Well, Gordon, thank you so much. We certainly hope that that works. We appreciate you joining us this morning with your insight, as always.
Thank you.